73% of companies fail to execute their strategy within the first year. Not because the strategy is wrong. Because their operating model cannot sustain it. Your competitive advantage is not your technology, your market position, or your capital. It is your ability to move faster, adapt quicker, and scale smarter than your competition. That lives in your operating model. Think about the last major strategic initiative your organization launched. The one that looked brilliant on the slide deck. The one that required every team to shift how they work. Now ask yourself this. How many people actually understood what they needed to do differently? How many processes got updated? How many legacy systems kept running parallel to the new way of working? In a recent 2026 McKinsey study, 60% of large organizations reported that their operating model actively impeded their ability to execute digital transformation initiatives. Not slowed them down, impeded them. They had the right strategy. They had the budget. They had executive alignment. But their organizational structure, decision-making processes, and technology stack were built for a different world. A slower world. A world where change happened once every 3 years. Not 3 times a week. Across Singapore and Southeast Asia specifically, we are seeing a recurring pattern among mid-market firms scaling into regional leaders. They maintain founder-led decision-making when they need distributed authority. They keep functional silos when they need cross-functional flow. They measure success in traditional quarterly metrics when they should be measuring velocity and learning velocity. The result is not just missed opportunities. It is organizational paralysis dressed up as strategic caution. What you are about to learn is not theory. It is the structural difference between companies that compound growth and companies that plateau. Over the next 9 minutes, we are going to walk through 3 operating model archetypes that define how the world's fastest growing organizations actually work. More importantly, you will understand which model aligns with your competitive position and where your organization is leaking velocity right now. This is not about reorganization for the sake of it. This is about aligning how you make decisions, how you allocate resources, and how you move information with the competitive reality you actually face. By the end of this video, you will have a clear diagnostic framework and 3 specific applications you can run with your leadership team this week. The first operating model is the centralized hub model. This is your traditional functional structure. Finance owns cash flow. Marketing owns demand generation. Product owns the roadmap. Operations owns execution. Clear chains of command. Clean accountability. Predictable costs. According to Gartner's 2026 Organizational Effectiveness Research, centralized models deliver superior unit economics and compliance rigor. They are built for efficiency. They are built for scale within a known market. Accenture's pharmaceutical division operates on this model across their global delivery centers. And it works because the workflow is repeatable. The client contracts are stable. And speed is less critical than consistency and margin preservation. But here is the vulnerability. In volatile markets, in startup ecosystems, or in industries undergoing rapid disruption, centralized models create bottlenecks. Every decision flows up. Every new market entry requires headquarters approval. Every product iteration waits for the quarterly planning cycle. In India's fintech ecosystem, we saw this play out with several traditional banking platforms that maintained centralized product governance, while decentralized competitors like Instamojo and Bharat Pay moved products to market in weeks. The traditional banks were still in governance meetings about whether to launch a feature, application, if you run a stable, mature business in a predictable market. The centralized hub model is your friend. Optimize for consistency. Build sophisticated planning infrastructure. Your competitive advantage is operational excellence and cost leadership. If you are in a volatile market and your model looks like this, you are already behind. You do not need reorganization yet. You need to identify the 3 fastest growing product lines or services and ring-fence them from central approval processes immediately. The second model is the distributed network. Autonomous units operate independently with shared principles. Think Spotify's squad model or the network structure Netflix pioneered. Each product team owns its roadmap, hiring, and P&L. The center provides capital, talent infrastructure, and strategic guardrails, but not approval authority. A 2025 Deloitte report on high-velocity organizations found that distributed network models achieve 40% faster time to market on new initiatives and show 28% higher employee retention. In knowledge work, the data is clear. Autonomy breeds speed. Distributed decision-making removes latency. Consider what Grab did across Southeast Asia. Rather than running a centralized Singapore command center, they built country-level teams with significant P&L responsibility. The payments team in Indonesia operates with real autonomy. The delivery teams in the Philippines run their own GTM strategy. The center owns technology standards, brand, and capital, not day-to-day decisions. This structure allowed Grab to respond to hyper-local market dynamics without waiting for regional approval. That is why they maintained market leadership across 8 countries simultaneously. The cost of this model is coordination overhead and the risk of brand fragmentation. You also need elite people. You cannot distribute authority to junior teams and expect success. You need people who own problems, not positions. Application. If you are operating in multiple markets, managing multiple products, or competing in high-velocity spaces, stress test your current model against the distributed network. Where are you losing speed waiting for approval? Where are teams not being held accountable for their own unit economics? Start with one pilot. Identify a team that is constrained by central approval. Give them a real P&L. And remove decision rights from the center for 12 months. Measure velocity, quality, and retention. That data point will tell you if distribution is your next move. The third model is what we call adaptive layers. This is a hybrid. You maintain centralized infrastructure and standards in areas where consistency is non-negotiable. Finance, compliance, talent systems, core technology architecture. But you overlay distributed decision-making on top for go-to-market, product innovation, and customer-specific delivery. This is the hardest model to execute, but the most resilient. According to IDC's 2026 research on adaptive organizations, companies using layered models show 35% faster strategy pivots and maintain 22% higher operating margins than purely distributed competitors. You get speed and margin. You get autonomy and control. But the leadership tax is brutal. You need sophisticated information systems. You need principles, not detailed procedures. You need leaders who can embrace paradox. Shopee, the Southeast Asian e-commerce leader, operates on this model beautifully. The core technology stack, payment rails, and supply chain infrastructure are centralized and standardized. But each vertical market has distributed product teams, pricing authority, and promotion calendars. The center does not decide what flash sale runs in Malaysia on Tuesday. The Malaysia team does. But they cannot build parallel payment infrastructure. Those are the layers. That is how they maintain the speed of a startup with the reliability of an enterprise. Application. This is your move if you operate in complex, multi-market, multi-product environments where you need both consistency and responsiveness. Run a brutal audit. Map every process and decision right now. Ask, what breaks if we decentralize this? What breaks if we centralize this? Anything that breaks systemic reliability, cost, or compliance stays central. Everything else moves to the edge. That is your redesign roadmap. Picture your organization 18 months from now. You have diagnosed your operating model. You have aligned it to your actual competitive environment, not the environment you wish you operated in. Approvals that took 8 weeks now take 8 days. Your teams are hiring for the market they own, not asking headquarters for headcount approval 6 quarters in advance. Product teams are running experiments instead of waiting for the perfect data. Your best people are not leaving for startups because they own real problems with real autonomy. But more than that, your organization has become intelligent. Information flows to the edge. Decisions get made where the work happens. Your executive team spends time on exceptions and strategy, not choreography and approvals. You are no longer optimizing for obedience. You are optimizing for velocity and learning. That is the competitive advantage operating models create, not incremental improvement. Structural speed. The ability to move 3 times faster than competitors with the same resources. Your next action is this. Take the 3 models we covered. Centralized hub, distributed network, adaptive layers. Get your leadership team in a room for 90 minutes this week. Map which model your organization actually operates under right now. Not which model you say you operate under. Which one you actually live. Then identify one decision that takes too long. One market where you are moving too slowly. One team that is const. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.